Hello, Facebook Ads people. I'm Konstantinos, and this is the Facebook Ads Breaking News Podcast. Hello, guys, and welcome to another podcast. So let's go with what happened the previous week. Basically, we have some new changes in several aspects. I must say that the results were a little bit lesser this week. So after the Chinese New Year or Lunar, how they call it, I think that a lot of people started advertising all over again. So the CPMs are a little bit higher. Still, I'm super stable on the accounts that I have managed to scale in the previous 2 weeks. But we had some rough days. And now I think that I'm recovering and stabilizing again the accounts. So all fine so far, nothing crazy. I would like to start first of all with one thing that I have seen, which is a pretty new thing. When you go to your frequency on the metrics, when you go to reach, you will see now that it says that it's measuring all of that for accounts, sender accounts. So I click to see what is this, and let's read it together. So it says, Meta publishes certain metrics on each ads reporting surfaces that are based on the number of accounts that took an action, rather than the number of actions taken. Meta also provides pre-campaign estimates during ad creation that help advertisers understand the estimate number of ad accounts, of accounts, sender accounts that meet the targeting and placement criteria they select, or how their ads may perform in one day performing on those selections. So by reading that, I was curious to see what is accounts, sender accounts in just a very small context, so that whoever doesn't care can skip to the next part of the video. Accounts, sender accounts are Facebook is grouping now in each one of the accounts that we have, all the pages. So if you're taking action with different pages in one of the ads, it's going to be considered as one. So if an Instagram and Facebook page are in the same account sender with many accounts, and you have many Instagram pages, many Facebook pages, Facebook is going to consider this action as one now. And I think that they're doing it because they believe maybe that there are a lot of fake accounts and they want to combat that. So they tell you that, look, if a whole account has many pages, we're going to count all the actions as one. So if someone needs to do something tricky, they have to have several accounts, I guess. So if you don't care about it, you can skip. I'm going to read the whole thing, just so I will go fast and just comment in a few spots. So definition of accounts, sender accounts. An account sender account refers to either an individual Facebook or Instagram account that has not been added to the same account sender as another account. The two or more Facebook and Instagram accounts that have been added to the same account sender. So this is one, okay? Accounts that have not been added to the same account sender are counted as separate accounts, sender accounts, and accounts that have been added to the same account sender are counted as one account sender account. So the account sender account, it's having several accounts inside, which is Facebook and Instagram pages or whatever. But if you have different if you have pages that are connected to different sender accounts, then you're counting for 2, 3, 4, or 5. For example, if a person has one Facebook account and 2 Instagram accounts that they have been added to the same account sender, they will be counted as one account sender account. But if those same accounts have not been added to the same account sender, they will be counted as 3 account sender accounts. The metrics and estimates that use account sender accounts are considered estimated and sampled, so also may be labeled as in development. Estimates or metrics using account sender accounts may be affected by whether a person has created more than one account and whether the accounts have been added to the same account sender. When a person has more than one account that has not added them to the same account sender account, then actions such as clicking on an ad, liking photos, or adding comments taking on separate accounts are counted separately, even though they were performed by the same person. And blah blah blah. Another thing says that estimates or metrics using account-centered accounts may be affected by the presence of fake accounts. So we understand that the reason that they're doing that, it's the fake accounts. We don't care anymore about this, blah, blah. Let's go to now the important stuff. So I was watching some YouTube accounts talking about Facebook ads and everything. And I don't know how can I say that, but I realized that there are people that they're just creating Facebook channels. They talk about general stuff like what can you do if you don't have results with Facebook ads? You have to focus on the creative, how to general stuff, you know. They're not talking about how you can have this strategy or this strategy or this or show an account and everything. So everybody is creating a YouTube account like I did, okay, which is totally fine. But they haven't to their mind that this is a hustle and they will just talk about general things and it's going to work eventually. They don't have in their mind that they have to give value. So let me tell you what I think about that. When I created, and I'm not talking about the established channels, I'm talking about new channels now that I'm seeing all the time. When I created my YouTube account, I already had more than 30 clients. I already had a lot of accounts to show, and I was sure that what I was going to say, it was correct. And then I see people that they create YouTube accounts, they don't have accounts, they don't show at accounts, they just talk theory, and they want to show things to people when they haven't shown their success to their own. So for me, this is a problematic situation that we have a lot of accounts right now on YouTube that they show about Facebook ads, but in reality, guys, these people may teach stuff that they are not correct at the end of the day because they haven't tested them or they have seen them in another video and stuff. And it's like a plague because when you have a wrong information, it goes to the next video, to the next video, to the next video, just because someone created a good video with a good editing and, you know, it went viral. So I think that whoever is watching this kind of content, you need to watch if these people are actually working on ad accounts, and you need to see if they show live accounts. Print screens to me are not enough because they can be manipulated. The same way that I'm saying about dropshippers that they say that they have sales and stuff. I mentioned in one of my previous videos that, for example, I could do a dropshipping channel and show the Shopify stores and the results of my actual clients that they have normal business and not dropshipping businesses, saying that this is a dropshipping store that has been successful. In other words, don't believe anything that you see in YouTube videos from gurus that they teach you how to do Facebook ads. Believe what you can test on your own. Believe what you can see with live ad accounts that you see the video there and you cannot think that it's fake. And try to take all of this information into your benefit, change them or alter them or use them as they are in order for this to be successful. What I really like is that despite the fact that my YouTube channel is having a very slow growth rate, which I don't care about, I can understand from the people that they reach to me and we start working on their businesses together that they say to me the same thing. I found your channel and I saw that you have a philosophy, you have a system, you have this, you have that, and you were showing also live accounts. And this is very good because when I started the YouTube channel, I never thought that people would be able to understand all of that. I started the YouTube channel because I couldn't find a YouTube channel with live accounts. I couldn't find this, I couldn't find that. And I said, in my YouTube channel in the future, when I will feel ready of doing it, by the way, you're never ready. And this is also the idea behind the people starting doing YouTube videos without having clients or whatever. They say that the clients will come from YouTube or they say that they will get experience later. Okay, you're not ready, but I think that you should start when you are in a very good level and you have also value to give. So for me, by the questions, and this podcast today, it's all about questions after we analyze the main topic that I have on the channel. I want to answer all of them. for me, the most important thing it was that I see questions that I understand that there are people that they are thirsty for this kind of information, and I'm giving this on this channel. And the second thing that I was never expecting is that I didn't have a single hate situation in my YouTube channel, because when people take free information and they take value out of you, they are very kind. Despite what we might think that the internet is toxic because people are anonymous and stuff, I never had these kind of issues. And I'm very happy with the development that the channel has. Now, let's go to discuss a little bit about one test that I have done, and then we will go to the main topic, which is the interest. I was talking with a company that they have 1 pixel for Australia, United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and I was telling them that this is wrong. Why? Because the demographics are different, and for example, an example that we have given in previous podcast is that if we have a vegan, for example, person, maybe the vegan person is completely different as a demographic, maybe different ages, different lifestyle from someone who lives in Europe and someone who lives in the United States. And it makes total sense. We're not the same people, we're not the same countries, we're not the same ethnicities. So having the same pixel, trying to train it for being a worldwide pixel is completely different of trying to train a pixel for the United States, a pixel for the United Kingdom, and so on. And the reason that we were discussing about United Kingdom and Europe, it was because United Kingdom has different logistics after the Brexit. So the reason for that is that it's better to have a different pixel there, because you will have also different site to cover logistics if you're doing this worldwide. Now, one of my clients wasn't believing me. So with one of my good friends that we managed some accounts together, we did a test. Actually, he did a test. I don't want to take the credit about it. He did a test and he did the following thing. He did an Advantage Plus campaign and he took different landing pages. So he took our best creative that we had so far, and for United States, United Kingdom and stuff, he ran a different Advantage Plus, but instead of sending all of the people with this good creative and copy that we had and we knew that it was working to all of these countries, he was sending people to different landing pages. One, it was a blog. Another one, it was focusing on the product, on the price. Another one, it was focusing on this, on that, on that. So we had all of these different landing pages. I believe by the number of 15 or 12 landing pages. And guess what happened? People from different countries converted to different landing pages. In United Kingdom, they converted more to the blog, for example. In Canada, they converted more based on the price point and so on. That proves that whenever we have different pixels, we can train them to the different demographics. But if we have one, we have difficulties because most probably it's going to focus just in one of the demographics, because this is what pixels do. They try to find what is working best and then focus on that. So in that case, for example, the main pixel, it's having better results in Australia, which I'm guessing that because it's more trained to or has more data about the Australia ideal avatar. And that being said, I have also another video that I'm explaining how you can run ads with United States, United Kingdom with different pixels and stuff, why it's important. Also, it's important because of the reset of the hour. If you have one ad account that has the reset time of United Kingdom, for example, London, and you're running ads in Australia, you're going to reset the ads in a very, the budget is going to reset in a very bad timing during the day. So all that being said, when you run ads with different countries and you have different sites, of course, you need to have also different pixels, because it's going to be much more easier to train your pixel in the ideal avatar and the different demographics of the different countries that they exist out there. And this covers my note about, it was actually a very interesting example and a very interesting experiment that we had. And I believe that it proves it in a good way. But then I called my friend Jonathan, which I'm trying to bring him here in the podcast, because the discussions that we have on the phone, if we had them on the podcast, it would be amazing. So I was telling to this him, and he told me, yeah, but on the other hand, you are having, you might be able to have a pixel that is going to be trained for all of these countries. Then I was telling to him, but it's going to be better if you train it as a smaller pixel and not try to train it as a whole. Then he told me, okay, but then you're going to have new pixels and stuff. And then I told him, okay, but that being said, you tell me that every new account that starts with a new pixel doesn't have any chance, and so on and so on. It was a very good debate. I hope that he is watching that. Most probably he's watching that while he's eating. And I hope that he's going to be convinced at some point, Jonathan, you should come here. We will have so good discussions. Now, let's go to the main topic, guys. I had a question, which is this. Is audience or interest testing dead? Should we focus only on broad targeting? First of all, before analyzing the interests, I need to say this. The whole line of progress in a business, in an ad account, in a pixel training and everything is this. We go from interests, if we can, to lookalikes, and then we go to broad targeting, and along the way we do stack lookalikes and crazy method and everything. The ultimate goal for each account is to go on the broad targeting, because broad targeting means scaling. You cannot scale only with interest, even if you're using massive interest. And let me tell you that some of the interests that are massive, like shopping, engaged shoppers, whatever you may want to use as a massive interest, let me tell you that those interests are like a broad targeting. So for me, the ultimate goal of each account is to go towards the goal of reaching the broad targeting and being able to have results using broad targeting and crazy method, of course, for my own philosophy. And that being said, it doesn't mean that the interests are not there to help. In most accounts, you will be able to see that you're not going to do after some point only broad targeting. You will do interest, lookalikes, and broad, all of them. And if all of them are working, you will have different campaigns with different interests and different combinations and everything. And then you can scale by using different creatives, all the things that we are discussing in the previous podcast, you can watch them. So maybe we will do in the next podcast discussing about scaling and how you can scale. So the other thing is that when you are starting with a new pixel, you need to use interests, because if you don't have this option, then it's a very big problem. Now, let's go to analyze a little bit some businesses. For example, before the previous April, we had many interests. And before that, before iOS, we had even more. So the situation is that after iOS, we lost a lot of people because of the iOS changes, and that made a lot of interest disappear because they couldn't populate enough people anymore so that we can target it. Then we had more changes, which was on the previous April, and we had this kind of removal of several things. Some people said it was all about protecting personal data, for example, Christians. We had 250 interests, now we have nothing. We had something from gospel music to whatever you can imagine, to Jesus, and now in just one day we had nothing. So what's the situation over here? When you're starting a new company and you have a niche, for example, let's say the cat niche, then you are able to use interest. This is very good, because if your product is good, you will be able to target efficiently with a new pixel that doesn't understand your ideal avatar, and you don't have lookalikes because you don't have data, and you cannot do broad targeting because your pixel is not strong enough. So when you are starting like this, you need to do it. What's the problem to that? That there are a lot of people that they will think of starting a cat niche store because they are able to use interests. The difficult part is when you start, for example, a Christian store and you don't have the interest anymore, how you can do it? You will have to rely to broad targeting, sadly, or maybe other kind of things. Like one stupid example is targeting Justin Bieber or Kanye West because they are known that they are Christians and stuff in the United States and so on. So going from other ways and using other kind of interests, so that you can reach the point of going to lookalikes and then go to broad targeting. That means that if you succeed on that area, you have less competition though, because there are going to be less people that they will start without interest. And even if some are going to start, they're going to have to spend a lot of money, which means less competition. What happened with these companies that they were on the Christian niche, for example? Eventually, these companies became stronger because they didn't have new people coming inside the game, or the new people that they came, they were struggling a lot until they were going to reach the point and have the data that these established companies had. So, to my opinion, this was good for them because they could still operate with lookalikes, they could still operate with broad targeting, and they had less competition, which means less CPMs for their specific niche. The other companies, though, that they didn't have this luxury of removing the interest and them having only the data, it means that these companies, they actually left with a lot of competition coming. And let me tell you something, even one dropshipper that's spending 20 per day, if you multiply this to all of these small dropshippers, then you still have competition. It doesn't have to be one big player which is coming and it's ruining the game or the CPMs for you. So let me tell you that the interests are not dead. The interest can be used also in ad accounts and in businesses that they still have data. It's another campaign that you can do so that you can scale. It's another interest that you can use so that you can have different hot pockets. You can use lookalikes with interest together. We have the blender method and everything. So they're not dead at all. I'm using them a lot, even on established businesses with broad targeting and stuff. Whenever I can use interest, I'm using them. I think that they became more powerful after the removal of several interests. I think that they're more powerful now for the pixels that they are good, of course. And the interests are the only way for you to start a new business in a normal way if you don't have a lot of money and you don't want to throw a lot of money to crazy method, broad targeting, whatever, trying to just get a sale so that you can create a hot pocket and then your ad set optimizes to it. So interests are something that I think that for me, it's the most important thing. I can see that companies like TikTok, that they don't have the interest that Facebook has. They have a problem initially of starting with new pixels and stuff, and it's a problematic situation. And the other thing which I like about interest on Facebook is that they are purely based not on third-party data coming from other companies that they give this information to Facebook, but it's coming out of our behavior. So we're giving all of this data based on what we click, what we buy, our pictures. I won't say what we say on the chat because it would sound a little bit strange. But for example, one example that I want to give is that if you speak Chinese on your chat or on your messages or whatever, Facebook understands that you speak Chinese. Okay, I'm not saying that it's going to take the things that you say with your friends and use them as interest. For example, you can see who is your friend and see what is your zodiac sign, whatever. Okay, all of these kind of things they compile up together and they create an avatar with the behaviors that you have. And all of this thing is coming because you are giving this to Facebook, especially whoever is super active on Instagram and everything. You're giving information. If you like to party, if you have a dog and you take it out for a walk. Sadly, we live in an era, not sadly for me, sadly for you. For me, it's making my life easier and my life better targeting. But there are a lot of people that they just live through Instagram and not their real life. And then they complain about their personal data. You are the one that you're giving your personal data. Facebook is just using it. And just something else, when you create an account, if you go and you read all the things that they say, but nobody is reading, I have read them, you're complying to all of that. So interests are here, interests are going to stay. They're super powerful because they're being based on actual data that they're happening within the platform. This is why the interests on Facebook are very good. And it's helping new businesses, but also established businesses to scale. I hope that I answered. And if we focus only about broad targeting, we don't focus only on broad targeting if we have a very big ad account. Of course, it's going to be the majority of our spend because when you target broad targeting, you can scale it more, you can put bigger budgets and everything. But keep into your mind that broad targeting is the end goal of the account, but interest is also the vessel to get there, and interests are also a vessel to also scale. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of your comments now that we said the main things and Freelancer Diaries, and we will close it. I don't know if it's going to be a big podcast or whatever, but let's see. So we have here Aubrey. It says, I'm so confused. How is it different than traditional dynamic creative? How is it different than running 150 dynamic ads in one ad set in a regular sales campaign? And she's talking about an Advantage Plus video that I have. One very big difference between dynamic creative and Advantage Plus is, first of all, in Advantage Plus, you cannot do many ad sets. Okay, with dynamic creative, you can. Second thing is that in Advantage Plus, you cannot use interests. In Advantage Plus, in Advantage Plus, you cannot use interests. In dynamic creatives, you can use interests and you can do whatever you want. And also you can use the crazy method. Whatever you're doing as a duplication, it's happening on the ad level, on the Advantage Plus. And let me tell you here that you cannot have 150 creatives in dynamic creative ads, but you can have 150 ads in your Advantage Plus campaign. These are the differences, and to me, there are two completely different campaigns because the one is working with CBO, which is, and the crazy method, of course, and the dynamic creative ads, they're working with a CBO, which has completely different optimization. You can go and watch the video of crazy method. I'm having a complete guide of optimization there. Of course, don't expect to learn everything there. It needs much more practice and it's challenging sometimes. And the other thing is that when you are having Advantage Plus, then you're having an optimization in ad level. And don't forget that this is a method of consolidation from Facebook and it has lower CPMs, it has results. This is why we use it, because we don't have an ego, even if we say that the consolidation is not working in the other areas that they try to push. But keep into your mind that it's going to focus in one ad, and if this ad is wrong, you have to close it so that you can go and you can optimize for another ad that maybe has better chances of giving you better ROAS. And of course, the fact that it's focusing in one, it doesn't mean that in this Advantage Plus, the best creative is the one that is focusing. You need to duplicate this campaign, which we have, I think, in another question. You need to duplicate this campaign and you need to be able to run it without the one that it's a winner ad in the previous Advantage Plus, so that you can scale. Because the fact that it's focusing in one, as I said earlier, it doesn't mean that it's the best one. Now, and of course, if you don't have the luxury of producing 10, 20 creatives every week, and you're just running one Advantage Plus and you think that that's it, okay, maybe there are more juice to it inside on the other creatives that they haven't been tested, because Advantage Plus is focusing most of the time in just one ad, the whole majority of the budget. Now, it says here, do you recommend crazy method with retargeting ad sets? I get this question a little bit, a lot of times, and I don't understand how somebody can ask it without any intention of insulting. So there are two different things here. The crazy method is a scaling method, and it's a method that we use when we know that one creative and one ad set targeting is working. So we duplicate it several times in order for us to be able to target different hot pockets. Nice. If you want to learn more information about it, go watch the crazy method, as I said earlier. Having the crazy method within the retargeting doesn't make any sense. Why? In the cold traffic ads that we are using the crazy method, we want to create different hot pockets and let the ad sets compete with each other so that we can have the best one, which is going to work, and it's actually going to produce the best result for us. In retargeting, which is a very small audience, we don't want to compete with these people. These people have already been served from our cold traffic ads, and we don't want to create several ads so that we can compete with these kind of people. We want to have stable budgets on retargeting by just monitoring the frequency. We don't want to spend a lot of money on retargeting, because in this channel also we don't believe that you should have 50% of your budget on retargeting. You should have 20, 10% on big scaling. And the most important thing, this audience is not anymore a cold traffic audience, so that you can have ad sets inside competing with each other in the same audience. Also, it's a very small audience. The whole point of crazy method is creating different hot pockets, because I have observed when I was creating the crazy method that when I was targeting with one ad set 50 million people, I would need an enormous amount of time, even when the ad set was working and I was scaling, to reach all of these people. So I said, okay, I will create several of these ad sets so that I can target different hot pockets within these 50 million people. And this is how the crazy method was born. Thinking that targeting 200,000 people, let's say that you're a big e-commerce store, 200,000 people, and using crazy method for that doesn't make any sense. You can, instead of using crazy method, what you can do is that you can break down your funnel. So instead of putting all of these 200,000 people inside an ad set, you can do one ad set which is going to have the people who add to cart, one ad set which is going to have the people who purchased in an ABO campaign, again, not in a CBO campaign. You can break down your funnel and you can have 25,000, 25,000, 25,000, or maybe, just to put it in the right context, you will have 200,000 people on people who visited the store. You will have 120,000 people, which are the people that they added to cart. You will have 60,000 people, which are the people that initiated checkout, and you will have 30,000 people who are the people that they actually purchased. Breaking down all of that, you will be able to actually target different sections of your middle and bottom funnel without having to compete with the other audiences. And yeah, crazy method is just a scaling method and you should use it only on cold traffic. I hope that I answered to this question. Now, let's go to this one. So there's a guy, we had a discussion and he was asking to me, scenario number one, I run only conversion campaigns. CPMs of my conversion campaigns is approximately 300 Indian rupees. Scenario two, I run conversion campaigns with one reach campaign. CPMs of my conversion campaigns drops to 200. Hope it's clearer now. Maybe it's a convenience, but I have observed this repeatedly. I track CPMs and CPCs of conversion campaigns to see which combination will result on low CPMs and CPCs and hopefully more sales. Now, this is a common mistake that a lot of people do. First of all, you cannot compare conversion campaign with reach campaign. You cannot compare reach campaign with traffic campaign. You cannot compare conversion campaign with traffic campaign or traffic campaign with engagement campaign. These are completely different campaigns with different things. Second thing, when you're doing ads to Facebook, you need to be very specific with what we are asking. If you're asking for reach, then Facebook is going to give you reach and you should not go and cry about the fact that you didn't have sales because of that. If you're asking for a conversion and add to carts, it's going to give you add to carts and you should not cry about the fact that it is not giving you purchases. So, whenever you want to do something with Facebook, be clear with the objectives of the campaign that you are using. The other thing is that if you are running reach campaigns and stuff and you see lower CPMs, it doesn't say anything to me. What is your ROAS? What is your cost per purchase? If you're having an e-commerce store and you're running reach because of low CPMs, it doesn't mean that you will get higher sales. On the other hand, you should focus more on the cost per purchase and the return on ad spend. CPMs and cost per unique link click, it's all about watching the initial results, okay? The first days, the first one day or second day in order to understand if it works your time based on the results that you're getting from the other campaigns that they have good ROAS and you want to also repeat the same situation and understand if something is wrong. These are just indications. They are not the end result that you want to achieve. So I don't care if a reach campaign gets 200 Indian rupees instead of a conversion campaign getting 300 Indian rupees CPMs. What I care about is the actual results, the ROAS. So this is what I also replied to him. And I hope that it's clear so that we don't have any misunderstandings. The only situation that I have done a reach campaign, I think it was some retargeting ads that we wanted to reach in a very fast time all the previous customers of a store because we had a promotion for a new product for 2-3 days and there were a lot of people. This is where I have done it and it was having very good results even on sales. There are specific situations that you can use the different methods. And I don't think that any of the different strategies, any of the different campaign styles are bad. It's just the way that we're going to use them. So yes, you can have even reach campaigns that are having sales, but why do you want to do reach and not conversion ads? If you want to do it because you have just 2 days and you want to reach all the previous people that they have been to the funnel, good, it makes sense, because this is what reach does. It's going to give the message to as many people as it can. But if you want to have sales and this is your only goal as a business, you cannot compare conversion campaigns with reach or traffic campaign with conversion. So that being said, focus on ROAS and cost per purchase and forget about CPMs and cost per unique click. These are just excuses of people of saying that we have lower CPMs but we don't have sales. Go and watch TikTok, for example. Everybody's talking about TikTok, how powerful it is and lower CPMs. Where are the sales though? They're not there. So what is better, to have higher CPMs and sales with a ROAS that makes sense, or have lower CPMs? Of course, you should always try with your creatives and everything to have lower CPMs, but this is not the end game and the metric that you should look at the end of the day in order to decide if something is going well or not. Now, next one. It says here, thanks, please also share your views on running campaigns with objective other than conversion for D2C brands. Should D2C only focus on conversion campaigns? I think I already explained that. I told the example with reach that I have done for retargeting in a very small period. Yes, conversion campaigns is the way to go. If you have a company that has several items, of course, you have to do also catalog ads, catalog sales ads, and you should do also those even on cold traffic if you don't want to focus on the bestseller. The options that you have in e-commerce, D2C brands and everything is the situation I said with reach, which is a very rare case, maybe an exception. Then we have conversion campaigns, which is the majority. If you want to focus in one product and you have a bestseller out of this, or bestsellers that you can use, it's better to use conversion ads with specific creatives for those. And of course, we have Advantage Plus, which is a unique breed, let's say, which you should use also if you have it in your ad account. If you don't have it in your ad account, guys, most probably it's going to be visible at some point during the year. And the next thing is that you need to have catalog ads if you want to target all of your products, even on cold traffic. Even on Advantage Plus, it's working very well, especially with small budgets. Catalog ads inside the Advantage Plus, they're working very well. And then we're having also the catalog retargeting that you can do. We do even catalog retargeting when we're focusing in just one product in several stores, just to focus also on the other. But you can also do normal catalog sales on top of funnel, as I said earlier. And of course, you can do also conversion ads for retargeting. So that's what you should do. Don't forget about catalog. Catalog is also important in several businesses and you should use it. Let's go to the next one. Hello, I have a question. I advertise 2 products. By the way, thank you very much, all of you, for the questions. I advertise 2 products on my site and don't quite know how to do remarketing campaigns. My audience group, add to cart and initiate checkout are too small. I have less than 1,000 people. Do I make an audience group that visited a specific page on my site? If you do that, most probably you will end up with targeting even less people, because specific pages with URLs, the custom audiences that we create from those, they are very small audiences and you should not do it. You should target all of them. And in this case, I will have a separate retargeting campaign for each product. What audience group do you propose to do in my case? Now, good question. So let me tell you what's the situation. If you don't have a lot of traffic, and first of all, you don't have to do retargeting no matter what. If you cannot have a good audience to retarget, don't do retargeting. Just focus on your top of funnel until you have enough. Second thing, if you have a very small traffic, which makes sense to do retargeting, and you have 2 products, I think that you should do a retargeting which is going to be general. So it's all about the money that you have to spend and the amount of traffic that you have. The more amount of traffic that you have and the more money that you have to spend, the more you can differentiate and you can break down the funnel. The more you cannot do that, the more you consolidate and you run one campaign, for example, with all of that. So it's better, for example, if you run one campaign with both of the products, and you have inside all of the audiences from add to cart, initiate checkout, everything you have it inside, or even just one audience of all the people who visited the site. The moment you will start having more results to your top of funnel, then you can break it more, as we said earlier in the podcast, and you can have people who were added to cart in a different ad, people who purchased in a different ad, people who initiate checkout in a different ad. And also, when you don't have a lot of people, you just also increase the period. So you go for 180 days for the visitors. You go also for people who engage with your Instagram and Facebook, which is another audience that you can use, and you can go up to 365 days. You can go with people who have seen 95% of your video. There are different custom audiences that you can go and you can find. I have a video about retargeting, which is called 5+1 ways to retarget. And you can go there and you can see the different funnels, how to consolidate, how to use more custom audiences and do it like this. The general rule is this: the more money you have to spend as a budget, and the more successful is your top of funnel, which is something that you have to focus in order for you to do proper retargeting later, and the more visitors you have into your site, then the more you can actually break down the funnel and do more audiences, more combinations and stuff. The less you group everything together. So in your case, you should group all the website visitors, you should group all the people who engage with social media, you should group all the people who have seen videos and stuff, which I know from your message that you understood and you have already done. So thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. In your opinion, what do you think is the minimum daily budget for an e-commerce and a fitness gym in the USA? Now, I get this question also a lot. So, when we're talking about local businesses, I think that the minimum that you can work with smaller budgets like 20, 30, because don't forget that you're targeting a local area. Okay, so you can have smaller budgets and go with your own pace. It doesn't mean that in a local area you cannot target with 100, 200, 300 per day. I have done it. You have also the crazy method, which is going to help you. And it really depends on what kind of leads you are trying to get. If the leads are cheap and stuff, of course, you need to actually evaluate what you are asking in a daily level. If your leads, for example, are on the range of $30 cost per lead, then you should evaluate that and see how much you can spend in order to see what you are asking in a daily level. Because if you're putting 10, but your cost per lead is 30, of course, you're going to have problems because the budgets are daily and they are resetting daily. That being said, I think that in local businesses, you can even go with numbers like 20 or 30 per day. You can use the crazy method in a mile radius, as I have shown in another video about lead generation and the crazy method and how you can use it there. Now, about e-commerce, I hate to work with 50 per day. I think it's too small. What I really like is working with 100 per day. I think it's a good budget for you to have a smaller targeting and a very good top of funnel campaign that you can spend actually some money to it. That being said, that's my answer. But you can even work with 50 per day. And let me tell you also that there are accounts that they are starting right now and they have limitations on spending. So you might be forced to work with 15 per day. 50, not 15, 50 per day. So that's my answer. Thank you very much for all of your support. And I'm seeing also your love messages. Thank you very much. Now, let's end the podcast with some freelancer diaries. How much did we have today? 44. I managed again to go to 1 hour. Cool. Okay. So, freelancer diaries. European Facebook users needed. Look how clever some people are. It says here, we are looking to run ads through Europe-based Facebook Ads Manager for our e-commerce brands. You will be paid monthly per Facebook account access provided. No extra work is required from you. Requirements are only European citizens having a Facebook account. So, most probably these people are people that they are running a CBD product. They are running a dating site. something that Facebook is forbidding. So what do they want? They want another account that you have, even if they run 100, 200, 300 with a bad advertisement, that's good for them. Because at the end of the day, you will get banned. They will have no problem. They will continue running ads to the other accounts. So be careful with that. Never give your personal information or your ad account for someone else to run your ads. Another thing that I have seen now in Greece, and I know that there are some other agencies that they do it globally. I don't work with any Greek client because I don't want to work with Greek clients here in Greece. Not for any reason, just because I like to work with United States and stuff. They have bigger accounts. It's bigger audiences that I can target. It's better for me to be creative there instead of just targeting 5 million people here in Greece. So the situation is this. The agencies are running the ads from their accounts, which means that whoever is running ads with them, it's imprisoned actually to another account that it's not its own as a business owner, but it's owned by the agency. And not only that, they even put the budget, the 500,000, for example, or 100,000 or $3,000, it doesn't matter. And then they say from the client, it's okay, our fee is 1,500 and 3,000, it's 4,500. But they don't make only money from the fee, but they make money also because they put their credit card and they take money back. So for an agency to actually have all the spending on its own with a credit card and then asking the money from the client, it's actually a very good deal. The other thing is that they are actually business owners, that they don't own the ad accounts and they're just spending money to something that they cannot control, or if they have an argument with the agency, they can take to another agency or a freelancer who is going to serve them. So be careful with all of that, guys. Keep into your mind that your pixel, your site, your accounts in Facebook, your pages on Instagram, on Facebook, your business on Facebook and everything is your assets, and they're your legacy. This is all the data that you are gathering, and the money that you spend on Facebook is money that they should stay within the company for more growth. It's not money that is, if it was like this, just pay them an amount and tell them give us traffic and we will give you a percentage. For example, if they want to run it from their account, make it as they are affiliates. But if you're paying for the spend, if you're paying for everything as it is your own business account, well, you have to also own it. So be careful, guys, with that. Now, let's go to the last one. I just launched an ebook and I want to market it with Facebook and Instagram ads. I ran a test ad yesterday. So far, it has 142 impressions, 3 clicks, and no sales. 3.37 is the cost so far. So what we see here is an inexperienced person that doesn't understand how Facebook works. And as I said earlier, he's focusing on impressions and clicks and stuff. He's not even focusing on if he had a sale or whatever. My goal is to get 1 to 2 sales per $5 spent. The ebook cost is $13.99. So, okay, so he wants to, how much does he want to get? So if we do 14 divided with 5, he wants 2.8 ROAS. Okay, so yeah, he wants 2.8 ROAS daily, and he wants to get that with having $2.5 cost per purchase, or even 5. He is flexible to that. I'm looking to hire someone to help me have success with the ads. I don't have a large budget right now, and I'm hoping to work with someone who can get the ball rolling quickly. I already have an ad content, and learn more takes them to the comedic article on my website sharing information related to the book, and at the end I plug the book. So let me tell you this. So here we see a person who is inexperienced, and there's nothing about that. There's nothing wrong about that. So what I want to say here is this. A lot of people, they have a dream, they have an idea, and they start, and this is to all of you that you don't still have a business and you are thinking of having one. They don't have a business idea, they don't have, they are going to have a business idea, or they're discussing with their friends about doing something and stuff, and they don't realize that Facebook is expensive. You cannot go and ask of having $5 cost per purchase or $2.5 cost per purchase. I have rarely seen accounts like that. They are the exceptions of the rule, and let me tell you that there are also old accounts that they have trained pixels. If you start right now, most probably you're not going to have that. Secondly, you said that you don't have the budget. If you don't have the budget, don't do it. Find another alternative way of selling your book, gather data to your pixel, and come later. The fact that you don't have the budget, it doesn't mean that you have to advertise on Facebook. And I don't have the budget to buy a house of $2 million. Okay. Someone else has the budget to buy it. Totally fine. It doesn't mean that everybody can do whatever they want even if they don't have the budget. It's the same situation as normal life. The same situation comes with Facebook. The other thing, don't focus on impression and link clicks. You should focus on purchases. And the other thing is that you're trying to get 1-2 sales per day. At least you're understanding the fact that the budgets are daily. But what you're asking is too much. Based on the CPMs, if your CPMs are 20 or 30, you are not going to be able to have this kind of results with $2.5 cost per purchase in an ebook of $14. What else should I say? That the cost per purchase that you are asking is a very small cost per purchase, which is not going to happen. The second thing is that the daily budgets are very small, and when you're spending $5, maybe it's not enough because it's going to be $5 spent throughout the whole day. The other thing is that your ebook is on $14, which is a bad average order value, which means that most probably you will have problems with the ROAS and you will not be able to get it. All of these kind of things. And of course, this person doesn't know. It's a very kind person from what I can see in the message. I don't see any aggressiveness and stuff. But I'm pretty sure that most probably these people are going to be exploited by people that they will just take the money and they just promise them that this can happen. So my message here is this. Keep into your mind that Facebook is expensive and try to talk with someone who is professional enough to tell you that, look, this is not going to work. I'm not going to take the project with you. Okay? It's a fine thing to be able to have someone who is actually honest and telling you, I don't want the job because I don't believe in the project. I don't think that it's going to work. When you have this kind of corporations and these people that they are honest around you, you're going to excel also. The other thing is that it is a little bit of common sense. I think that you're asking too much. These things were not even happening in 2014. And if you don't have this knowledge, at least try to ask a lot of people in order to understand if it's possible or not. Maybe this post, it was all about that. Okay, that's all about the Freelancer Diaries and the things that I want to say. Thank you very much, guys, for all of your questions. I started answering all of the questions saying that I'm going to feature this question in the podcast and stuff. And it has already happened the previous week with a guy that I explained to him something. And now I'm posting more of these questions so that I have in my videos in YouTube channel so that everybody can have their answer that they deserve instead of just having just a small text answer. And it's helping me also a lot in order to create this huge 1-hour podcast that my employee has to take an enormous amount of time and days to actually manage and edit. So thank you very much, guys. I will see you in the next podcast the next week. Don't forget, you can shoot me your questions into the videos if you don't understand something. I'm going to put links for all the videos that I have here with the remarks like the crazy method or the 5+1 ways of retargeting and everything. And I will see you in the next podcast. Bye. This was the Facebook Ads Breaking News Podcast. Like it or not, it is what it is.